The courtroom was supposed to be silent. But when Judge Judy delivered her order, the woman at the defense table, the one local news had already started calling Restaurant Karen, did something no one expected. She laughed. Not a nervous chuckle, not a polite smile, a sharp, mocking laugh that bounced off the walls like a dare. Judy had just ordered her to correct a list of health violations so long it read like a grocery receipt. And instead of showing concern, Karen smirked, tossed her hair, and whispered loud enough for the mics to catch it, "She can't touch me." What Karen didn't know, what no one in that courtroom knew, was that Judy wasn't warning her. She was documenting her. Every word of that order, every piece of evidence laid out on the desk wasn't just for show. It was the legal match Judy had quietly struck, and Karen had just laughed at the flame. In a matter of weeks, her empire of glittering restaurants would be nothing but empty chairs and boarded windows. Before we reveal how a single sentence from Judge Judy closed an entire restaurant empire, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because this story only gets wilder from here. She called herself a visionary. Everyone else just called her loud. Long before she ever sat in Judge Judy's courtroom, before the viral clip that would haunt her name, Karen Whitfield was the self-proclaimed queen of gourmet chaos. That was what her restaurant's slogan said in bright neon letters above the bar. Gourmet chaos. Rules are for the boring. To her army of online followers, it sounded edgy, rebellious, and fun. To health inspectors, it was the first red flag they should have taken seriously. Karen had started small, just a cramped corner cafe with mismatched furniture, glitter-coated menus, and a TikTok obsession. But in 2 years, she turned that cafe into an empire. By her third location opening, journalists were writing breathless profiles about her fearless disruption of the dining scene. She wasn't trained in culinary arts, had never worked in a professional kitchen, and bragged about it constantly. "I build hype, not recipes," she'd say in interviews, her voice dripping with the kind of confidence that left no room for questions, and for a while it worked. Her restaurants weren't known for their food so much as the spectacle. Flashing pink lights, glitter cocktails, gold leaf on everything from bagels to chicken nuggets. She hired influencers instead of chefs, bought fake 5-star reviews from bots, and posted staged, surprise health inspector visits on Instagram that were actually filmed with paid actors playing inspectors who winked at the camera while stamping her forms. To her followers, it was hilarious. To her staff, it was terrifying. Behind the sparkle, the real kitchen told a different story. Walk-in fridges held meat weeks past its expiration date, disguised under layers of scented spray to mask the stench. Cooktops caked with grease were cleaned by lighting them on fire and scraping them with spatulas. Rats darted between crates of produce, which no one bothered to wash because a little dirt builds immunity. But Karen had a rule for her staff: never talk about what's behind the curtain. If anyone mentioned cleanliness, safety, or compliance, she'd smile coldly and remind them, "Our customers eat the experience, not the food." Her arrogance didn't come from ignorance. It came from success. She knew exactly how bad things were, but believed she was untouchable. The more warnings she received from local health departments, the louder she became online. She framed every citation as harassment of a strong female entrepreneur and rallied her followers to flood city pages with fake glowing reviews. When one inspector tried to shut down her flagship location over a rat infestation, she posted a photo of herself holding a plush toy rat on the counter, captioned, "Inspector found our new mascot. His name's Remy, he passed the vibe check." The post got 2 million likes. The inspector got death threats. Every time the system tried to warn her, she turned it into content. Every consequence became proof of her persecution. Every fine was just the price of being legendary. It was only a matter of time before someone decided to stop playing her game. That someone was Judge Judy. Karen's arrogance had finally crossed a line too visible to ignore. Her third restaurant, an over-the-top immersive dining playground called Chaos Cathedral, became ground zero for the scandal. The city received dozens of food poisoning complaints within a single weekend. Several were hospitalized. One of them, a pregnant woman, nearly lost her child. When the health department stormed the restaurant, they found maggots in the pastry flour, mold behind the soda machines, and freezer units that hadn't worked in weeks. Karen didn't just deny it. She laughed. In her official public response, she posted a slow-motion video of herself sprinkling edible glitter on a steak with the caption, "If mold was real, why would glitter exist?" It was the kind of flippant, tone-deaf statement that would have ended most people's careers overnight. But Karen wasn't most people. She thrived on outrage. Her fans called her a rule-breaking boss queen. They flooded the health department's social media, pages with clown emojis and hashtags like "Gershker glitter over germs," and that's when Judge Judy's producers called. For years, the show had occasionally taken on civil cases involving small business disputes. This was different. The case wasn't about a customer suing Karen. It was about the city demanding she comply with court-mandated health orders she had ignored for 8 consecutive months. When the producers reached out, they expected her to decline. Karen didn't just accept. She bragged about it. She called it her TV coronation. She announced it to her followers with a champagne livestream shouting, "I'm about to teach that dusty old relic how real business is done in 2024. Her staff begged her not to go. Her PR manager quit the night before the taping. Her legal counsel warned her that Judy was notorious for tearing Arrogance to shreds, but Karen had stopped hearing warnings months ago. She only heard applause. On the morning of the taping, she strutted into the studio lobby wearing a neon pink pantsuit with "chaos" spelled across the back in rhinestones. She wasn't there to defend herself. She was there to perform. The producers noticed it immediately, the way she laughed too loud during the mic check, the way she practiced fake gasps in front of the mirror. One whispered to another, "She thinks this is going to be a promo for her brand." It would become her obituary. The case file was damning. 214 documented health code violations across her 3 locations, forged inspection logs, employee statements about unsafe conditions, customer hospital reports, photographic evidence of rotting meat, black mold, mouse droppings in the fryer baskets. But none of it mattered to Karen. She had convinced herself this wasn't about evidence. It was about charisma, and she believed she had more than enough to crush an old judge on live television. She kept saying the same line to her makeup artist as they powdered her forehead. "People don't care what's true. They care who wins the moment." For years, that philosophy had carried her to success. It had gotten her brand deals, press coverage, and cult-like loyalty from strangers who didn't know how to cook an egg, but knew how to repost her glitter steak videos. But now, for the first time, she wasn't on her own stage. She was walking into Judge Judy's. The producers handed her a copy of the evidence packet before she entered the courtroom. Karen skimmed the first page, laughed, and shoved it into her purse. When the bailiff opened the door and called her name, she tossed her hair and sauntered in like it was a runway. That was the moment Judy looked up. The judge had been reviewing the case notes with her trademark calm intensity. But when she saw Karen's smirk, her expression didn't change, except for the slightest narrowing of her eyes. It wasn't anger. It was recognition. She'd seen this kind before. Judy had spent decades dealing with narcissists who thought charm could erase the truth. She knew their rhythm, the way they performed, provoked, and pretended. And she knew exactly how to dismantle them. Karen didn't know that yet. She took her place at the defendant's table, crossed her legs, and smiled directly at the cameras. When Judy began reading the violations aloud, Karen rolled her eyes theatrically, eliciting awkward laughs from the studio audience. When Judy mentioned the maggots, Karen snorted. When she cited the fake inspection logs, Karen mimed zipping her lips. When Judy asked if she had anything to say in her defense, Karen leaned forward, grinned, and said, "I have over 1 million followers who think my food is fabulous. Does that count as evidence?" The courtroom went still. Judy set down her papers slowly, folded her hands, and said, "No, it does not." That was the first crack. Viewers wouldn't see it yet, not until later, when they replayed the footage in slow motion. But that was the instant the balance of power shifted. Judy wasn't going to argue with her. She was going to let her self-destruct, and Karen, blinded by her own confidence, was about to give her all the ammunition she needed. What no one watching knew, not even Karen herself, was that Judy had been quietly coordinating with city health officials behind the scenes. The evidence in front of her wasn't just a stack of complaints. It was the foundation of a legal order. Judy wasn't there to scold her. She was there to document her defiance on record, on camera so the city could move for immediate closures. Karen was sitting in a trap of her own arrogance, and she was about to laugh her way into it. She would mock Judy's order. She would dismiss the warnings, and she would give the world the viral moment that would burn her empire to the ground. The first thing Judy noticed wasn't Karen's words. It was the way she smiled while saying them, like someone convinced they were bulletproof. The courtroom lights caught the rhinestones on her suit as she leaned forward, propping her chin on one glitter-tipped fingernail. The audience watched her like a live grenade dressed in sequins. "Ms. Whitfield," Judy began, her tone measured and cool, "you've been cited for over 200 health code violations across 3 establishments. Do you dispute these findings?" Karen's smile widened. "I dispute the obsession," she said lightly. "It seems the city has nothing better to do than stalk a successful woman who makes people happy." Judy blinked once, slowly. "Stalk," she repeated. "Yes," Karen said, tossing her hair. "And for the record, no one's ever gotten sick at my restaurants. These so-called reports are just jealous people trying to drag me down." The room shifted. The bailiff's jaw tightened. The audience stilled. Judy lowered her glasses down her nose and looked directly at Karen like she was reading a sentence off her soul. "Are you accusing the health department?" Judy said evenly. "Of fabricating medical reports?" Karen smirked. "I'm accusing them of overreacting to dust." "Dust does not crawl," Judy replied. The words were quiet but landed like stones. A ripple of laughter ran through the audience, but Karen didn't flinch. She leaned back, basking in the attention, convinced she was winning. She had no idea Judy was tightening the net with every word. Judy began laying out the evidence. Photos of mold-encrusted soda lines, signed employee statements about rat droppings on prep counters, temperature logs showing chicken stored at 62 degrees. Each piece landed with the dull, inevitable weight of a gavel. Karen waved a hand. "You can make anything look bad with the right angle," she said. "You ever seen a kitchen at peak rush hour? It's chaos. People love it. That's the brand." "Chaos," Judy said, voice flat, "is not a defense." There was no rise in her tone, no flare of temper, just a stillness that drew the oxygen out of the room. Karen crossed her legs and laughed, a sharp sound that cracked against the silence. "Judge, this is entertainment. People don't come to my places for thermometers. They come for sparkle." "That," Judy said, "explains the glitter. It does not explain the salmonella." The audience gasped. Karen's smile faltered just slightly. And that was when Judy leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper, each word etched like glass. "Health codes aren't suggestions. They are the only thing standing between your customers and a hospital bed, and you have treated them like confetti." For the first time since walking in, Karen didn't have a comeback. The silence after Judy's words was heavier than any gavel strike. It didn't just hang. It pressed down, flattening Karen's practiced grin into something tight and brittle. She shifted in her seat, the rhinestones on her blazer catching the light like little sparks from a dying fire. Judy didn't move. She simply turned the next page of the file, the paper whispering louder than Karen's entire brand. "This," Judy said, tapping the document with one lacquered fingernail, "is the temperature log from your flagship restaurant. Chicken stored at 62 degrees, beef left unrefrigerated overnight. These aren't mistakes. They are neglect. And they are illegal." Karen gave a theatrical scoff. "It's one weekend. My staff probably forgot to write the numbers down." "Everyone makes mistakes." "No," Judy said without looking up. "Everyone does not serve bacteria as a side dish." A low murmur rippled through the courtroom. Karen sat up straighter, her voice rising. "I'm not going to sit here and be insulted because a bunch of clipboard-carrying bureaucrats don't understand innovation. My restaurants are works of art. People come for the vibe. They don't care if the chicken is a few degrees off." That did it. Judy's eyes finally lifted and the look she gave could have frozen fire. "They don't care. Until they're vomiting in an emergency room," she said. Karen opened her mouth, but Judy didn't give her the chance. The judge's voice sharpened, slicing through the air like glass. "You think this is about creativity? This is about human beings, children, pregnant women, immune-compromised customers who trusted you not to poison them for profit." The audience gasped audibly. Even the cameramen seemed to pause. Karen tried to recover her bravado, but her voice cracked. That's dramatic. No one died." "Not yet," Judy snapped. The word cracked like thunder. Karen flinched. Judy pushed the evidence folder aside and leaned forward, her tone dropping to a deadly calm. You have turned defiance into a marketing strategy. You have treated public safety like performance art. And you came into this courtroom believing your followers would protect you from reality. They will not. Karen's breathing had gone shallow, the first hairline fracture in her armor showing as her laugh came out thin. This is ridiculous. You're making me sound like some kind of criminal. Criminals, Judy said, hide what they do. You broadcast yours for likes. The line detonated. A collective gasp swept through the audience. Even the bailiff's eyebrows shot up. Karen's face, flushed red now, crumpled in on itself for half a second before she forced another laugh. This is a witch hunt. Judy raised her gavel slightly, not to strike, but to draw every eye to it. No, Ms. Whitfield, she said softly, and that softness was more terrifying than any shout. This is a reckoning, the word echoed, and in that moment everyone knew it was over. Karen must have felt it too, because for the first time since stepping into the courtroom, she looked away from the cameras. Her smile was gone. Her eyes darted to the exit sign like she was searching for air. Judy set down the gavel, her voice now cold and final. You will comply with these health orders immediately, or the city will shut you down. Permanently. No one clapped. No one spoke. The only sound was the distant hum of the studio lights, and Karen's empire quietly beginning to collapse. The collapse didn't come with an explosion. It came like rot through wood, quiet, steady, unstoppable. The courtroom wasn't even cold when the first calls went out. City health inspectors, armed with Judy's televised order, and the mountain of evidence she'd dragged into daylight, moved faster than anyone expected. By that evening, they were at all three of Karen's restaurants, walking through the glittering chaos like soldiers through a battlefield. They carried clipboards, cameras, and the weight of the law, and for once Karen's laughter couldn't drown them out. Customers still lined up outside, unaware. They were met with closed by order of the Department of Health signs slapped across the doors in bright red letters. The windows were dark. The neon slogans had been unplugged. The empire that had once blasted music into the street was suddenly silent. Inside, inspectors cataloged everything Judy had warned about. Rotting chicken, warm dairy, mouse droppings on prep counters, black mold climbing behind the soda machines like vines. They took photos, sealed evidence bags, and posted emergency closure notices while staff members stood pale-faced and silent, watching the empire they'd built turn to ash in real time. Within hours, social media caught fire. The clip of Judy saying, "You broadcast your crimes for likes," exploded across every platform, now paired with real-time footage of Karen's restaurants being padlocked shut. Former employees posted their own videos, anonymous voices telling stories of expired meat, fake cleaning logs, and Karen's infamous rule, never talk about what's behind the curtain. The backlash was merciless. Customers who once posted glitter-coated selfies now flooded her comment sections with outrage. Yelp pages filled with zero-star reviews from people who claimed they'd gotten sick, but had stayed quiet out of fear of Karen's cult-like fan base. Local news stations ran breathless live coverage, cameras lingering on the red closed signs while anchors whispered words like scandal. Reckless and public endangerment, even her most loyal fans went silent. Then they went hostile. Karen tried to fight it. She went live on Instagram, screaming that Judy had staged the entire case, that old women hate to see young women win. But her voice was hoarse, her face streaked with makeup, and the comments scrolling beneath her told a different story. You fed us poison. You laughed at safety. Judy warned you. Sponsors cut ties. Influencers deleted old collabs. Her brand deals evaporated overnight. Banks froze her business accounts pending investigation. By the end of the week, Karen's empire wasn't just closed, it was radioactive. No one would touch her, and for the first time in years, she had nothing left to laugh about. The story didn't end when her doors closed. In some ways, that was just where it began. By the following week, Karen's downfall had leapt from local gossip to national spectacle. What had started as a courtroom clash became a cultural autopsy, dissected on every platform that once celebrated her. News anchors replayed the moment Judy said, "You broadcast your crimes for likes," like it was a historical quote. Late-night hosts turned it into punchlines. Even serious business channels debated it as a case study in hubris. But something unusual happened. The internet didn't just laugh at Karen. It studied her. Food safety experts appeared on morning shows holding freeze frames of her filthy kitchens like crime scene photos. Culinary schools started showing the Judy clip to their students. Warning: this is what happens when ego outruns ethics. Human resources departments used it in training sessions about accountability, contrasting Judy's calm authority with Karen's arrogance. Memes swept through social media, but they carried messages sharper than mockery. One showed her laughing in rhinestones beside a hospital bed and the caption, "The vibe won't save you from the truth." Another paired Judy's icy stare with, "This is what real leadership looks like." Even global outlets picked it up. A British newspaper ran the headline, "Judge Judy ends. American glitter queen with facts." A Canadian business journal called it a masterclass in professional composure versus performative chaos. And beneath all the noise, something shifted. For years, people had accepted that loudness meant leadership, that charisma excused carelessness. But Judy had shown another model: calm, methodical, devastatingly factual. Surveys reported younger viewers overwhelmingly sided with Judy's approach. Focus groups called her presidential. Meanwhile, Karen became a warning label. Professors cited her as the embodiment of reckless branding. Consultants taught the Karen effect in seminars, the danger of building an empire on spectacle instead of substance. She had meant to become unforgettable. She succeeded, but not in the way she imagined. Her name stopped being a brand. It became a cautionary tale. Karen never returned to Judge Judy's courtroom. She never got the chance. By the time the legal dust settled, her restaurants were gone. Every table sold at auction, every neon sign stripped from the walls. The buildings that once pulsed with music and glitter sat hollow and silent, their windows boarded like abandoned funhouses. Karen vanished from public view almost as quickly as her empire had. The woman who once live-streamed every breath deleted her accounts one by one, each goodbye post more frantic than the last. Her final words online were just 3 broken sentences. "They hated me for winning. They lied about everything. I was supposed to be unstoppable, but arrogance isn't armor." It's glass Judge Judy never mentioned her again. She didn't need to. The viral clip did all the speaking. Karen laughing at a lawful order and Judy replying, "Health codes aren't optional." That moment became more than a meme. It became a mirror, forcing business owners, students, and viewers around the world to ask themselves one hard question: am I building something real, or just building until it breaks? Karen had built glitter. Judy built consequences, and in the end, only one of them was still standing. Which kind of leader do you think the world needs more of? Those who shout for attention or those who stand firm in truth? Tell us your answer in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who believes integrity still matters more than applause.